was given. But in your case, we would like you to identify the problem. How do we identify the problem? So one way in which we identify the problem is we look at the grassroots innovations, and grassroots innovations in that sense are a response to the problem. So every grassroots innovation in that sense is a response to the problem. Now just give me 1 minute, because I'm also doing the Facebook Live, and this I don't want to mix up with the earlier lecture. So just give me 1 second. Just 1 second. Yes. So we were discussing how to identify an unmet need. So one way is to look for a solution around, may not be optimal, suboptimal solution. And that gives an idea that there is a problem which somebody is trying to solve. And maybe I can make it better. So as Rupali was just saying, that you don't begin with completely different solution. You begin with what is going on and you try to improve upon it. So it's a kind of incremental innovation. It's not completely disruptive. It is not completely radical. It is just an incremental improvement over what is going on. But what is going on is not sufficient, is not adequate. Then second way of identifying problem is you look for inertia. What is that which is bothering people? And if it is bothering people, can we reduce the drudgery? So for instance, at lunchtime, many of you might have taken rice, isn't it? Chawal khaya na aap logon ne?
Yes, sir.
Chawal khaya hoga.
Yes.
Yes,
So
sir.
you know how paddy is transplanted? Chetan? Dikha dena inko bhi. So how is paddy transplanted? Anybody has an idea?
Sir, I think the rice grows for about some 6 feet or something, and then it is plucked and then it is transferred to another field.
No. Transplanted, not transported. Transplanted. Okay. So when you grow a nursery, then you uproot some seedlings. Then generally the women do that. They bend downward and they transplant seedlings, isn't it? Is it correct?
Yes, sir.
So let me show you. If you are not able to visualize, then it might be easier for you if I show you the. So let me show you this thing. You can see that? You can see that? This is how women transplant paddy seedlings. Hardly 5% is a mat nursery, which is done by machines. The rest, all about 95% paddy is transplanted. This is a very back-bending posture, feet in the water. So when you go around, you see this, you can pass by, you may not notice it. But if you wait for a minute and say, what are they doing? Let me see. When you see, you start observing the pain of the women who are transplanting paddy day after day for weeks and weeks. Sometimes the ulcers develop in their feet, pain, boils, and there's a pain in the back. So this is very uncomfortable position. So this is an unmet need. Somebody has to develop a good manual paddy transplanter, which can easily be pulled or pushed by ladies, which works in the muddy field, where the wheels generally will not work very well because they will get stuck in the mud. And that is able to pick up the seedling and put them into the ground one by one or two by two, as the case may be. This is, so how did we observe problem here? We looked around, found where is the women, where is somebody feeling the pain? Where is somebody going through very uncomfortable act? And then we try to find a solution. Look at the second one. Some of you will take a cup of tea after this session. And when you take the cup of tea, do you feel the pain of the lady who plucks the two leaves and a bud of the tea bush from the tea bush? क्यों बच्चों? आप चाय पीते हो तो कभी ख्याल आया उस लेडी का कितनी बार उठाती है वो? She picks up like this, puts it in the basket. Picks up like this, puts it in the basket. Then मेरे साथ आप करिए 10 बार. Please do it 10 times. All of you, just do it 10 times. रिचा कर रही हो?
Yeah, sir. Yeah, sir.
करो वीडियो ऑन करो अपना. राजखुश वीडियो ऑन करो. एक दो लोग कर लो. हाँ, just करो उसको.
Like this.
हाँ, इसको कप करो, पीछे डालो बास्केट में. पीछे करो. अब 10 बार करने के बाद मुझे बताना कहाँ दर्द हो रहा है. कहाँ दर्द हो रहा है?
Yeah.
यहाँ. Yes.
Yeah, this area.
This area, na?
Yeah.
Now, in 10 times you feel this pain. Imagine the lady does it 2,000 times, 3,000 times. उसको दर्द नहीं होता होगा?
Yeah, sir.
होता होगा ना?
Yeah.
हमें तो नहीं होता महसूस चाय पीते वक्त. उसका दर्द हमें महसूस नहीं होता. क्यों नहीं होता? Why don't we feel
We
that
never
pain?
think about it.
Why don't we think about it?
So because we were born in privileged section of the society there where we had not to do that work.
Why have we invited you in this course? Because we should have argued the same way, that these students who can come to the course are privileged, and why should we invest time in their education? They will anyway go to big companies, they will do some other job, they will design luxury car for some automobile manufacturer, they may do something else. Why are we doing this?
Because it's the need of the hour, because all those sectors have been saturated. The next big thing is the social entrepreneurship. And we have the knowledge, we have the things, we have the technical, managerial aspects. So we can help them cope up with this. And that's what SRISTI is.
You know, even if you join a job in a multinational company, I don't mind that. It doesn't matter. You can be anywhere. But sitting there, you can also look around yourself, your employees, your workers, your gardener, your driver may come from these communities, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And if you make the life of their families, their people better, wouldn't they become more loyal? Wouldn't they become more devoted? Wouldn't they become more sincere to the job? They will.
Yes.
And what is life if we don't share the pain of others? What is the point of life? आपने कोविड में देखा बहुत बार systems were not working. I just posted a small tweet today. Somebody was complaining, government didn't do this, government didn't do that. And then she described that she needed oxygen cylinder. A stranger offered her when she put on the social media. She mentioned somebody else offered to get it filled up. Now, all these people who offered to help were not related to this lady. They were strangers. But we don't look at the side of the picture that today when there is a calamity, there is a crisis, there are strangers who are helping other people, isn't it? We miss that side. And humanity is alive because humanity is alive because there are people helping each other. I'm not saying it is enough. I'm not saying it is the way it should be. We do want systems to work better. We do want government to be more effective. We do want government to be more efficient. No argument. But we should also appreciate what is good in our world. And what is good in our world is that there are people who understand and try to feel the problem. Now, the tragedy is that the problem that women face somehow remains subdued for longer than the problem that men face. The third problem that you see here, the cooking stove, chula. लकड़ी जलाते हैं ना बहुत से चूल्हों में आज भी. Hardly the combustion efficiency is 14%, 15%, right? That means if you use 1 kg of wood, hardly you get 15% of it in the form of available energy heat for cooking food. Rest dissipates. Now, if you improve the efficiency by 50% or 100%, the women have to walk that much less distance or bring that much less wood, isn't it? Or the wood that they have brought would last double the time. So there's a direct connection between our feeling the problem, our trying to solve it, and its impact on the people. So why we are organizing this summer school is we believe, and we are bringing some of the best teachers around the country, You will not find them in any one IIT or any one school because they're all in different places. But in this school, we're getting the best in the country. And we were getting the best because we want to invest in all of you with the hope that no matter where you go in your life, you will remain. There's a small part in your heart which will beat for these women. हो सकता है we are sowing a seed, संवेदना का बीज बो रहे हैं हम लोग ना बच्चे?
जी सर, इसमें मैं कुछ ऐड करना चाहूंगा सर।
बोलो
सर, ये 3 घंटा जब मैं सृष्टि के साथ जुड़ा और आज मेरा जिंदगी के देखने का नजरिया ही बदल गया कि मैं सॉल्यूशन दे सकता हूँ। जैसे पिछले लेक्चर में सर ने कहा था कि हम प्रॉब्लम के साथ जीना सीख जाते हैं, पर आज मुझे पता चला कि मैं उस प्रॉब्लम को अब मैं प्रॉब्लम के साथ नहीं जीऊंगा, मैं उसका सॉल्यूशन भी लाऊंगा।
हाँ, लेकिन जल्दी नहीं करनी है।
हाँ,
जल्दी नहीं करना। अभी प्रॉब्लम को समझा नहीं है और अपन सॉल्यूशन पे जाएंगे ना।
नहीं सर, इसकी बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ मैं, ओवरऑल अपने लाइफ की बात कर रहा हूँ।
नहीं, बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हो तुमने जो बात कही बड़े दिल को छूने वाली है कि अगर एक दिन के लेक्चर से ही तुम्हारे ऊपर इतना इम्पैक्ट हो रहा है तो आई अप्रिशिएट दैट।
सर, कभी कभी हम अपने बारे में ही सोचते, दूसरों के बारे में हम सोचना ही बंद कर देते। आज देखा, मुझे ऐसा लगा कि मैं अब दूसरों के लिए भी कुछ कर सकता हूँ।
दूसरों के लिए नहीं कर रहे हैं हम लोग, मैंने
हमारे लिए कर रहे हैं ना, हमारे लिए कर रहे हैं।
भूलो नहीं मैंने सुबह बोला था, मैं रिपीट करूंगा।
नहीं सर, मुझे याद आ गया।
हाँ, I will repeat again, those of you who missed in the morning. I said
हमारे लिए
there is a beautiful word in all the Indian languages, samvedana.
Yeah,
Sam means equal, vedana means pain. When I feel the pain of somebody else as intensely as that person feels it, it doesn't remain that person's pain, it becomes my pain. Correct? Then for Swanta Sukhai, for my own happiness, I try to solve that problem. My colleagues have been working hard in getting the best mind in the country to you for this in this course. And every time we try to do better than before. Samir has put together a lot of reading material for you. My suggestion is try to read some of it and give us feedback. Try to redesign the course. You should all participate in changing the structure of the course when you are going through it. If you give us a feedback in the end, then the next batch will benefit, isn't it? But if you want to redesign the course, you want to add some session, you want to discuss something, please give us feedback during the current course, and we'll try to implement on your feedback, because our purpose is to increase more samvedana and then see. One more example I will take you, this one. Some of you must have got your shoes mended, isn't it? जूते की मरम्मत कराई है किसी ने?
Yes sir.
तो जिसने कराई है वो जरा अपना वीडियो ऑन करो. The one who has got the shoes mended. ये देखो यहाँ पर क्या है, यहाँ पर एक इंडियन शू मेंडर है, मोची है, कॉबलर है. There is an Afghanistan shoe mender, there is a Chinese shoe mender, and there is a Mongolian shoe mender, right? There are 4 shoe menders here. What do you notice? Tell me. कोई भी बताओ, क्या फर्क है चारों में? या ऊपर वाले में और नीचे वाले में क्या फर्क है, ये बताओ.
So technique,
quality of living.
More precisely. Tell me more precisely. I mean, the lower one are better organized, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. What else?
Sitting postures.
Posture, yes, more comfortable. All right. What else?
Age.
Sir, the Mongolia person has a better equipment.
And what is this better equipment? What is the better in the equipment?
A workstation.
Huh?
It might be used for stitching the shoes.
The workstation that he's working on, it's better, like the sitting position and the height.
No,
It's
that
It's
is
better.
okay. That is
automated.
okay. But tell me now. Let us focus on the solution, the tools that they are using. All right. Let us focus on tools.
So is it automated? So he
No,
has to put
see
little
here.
efforts.
Here he is using this stand. Correct.
Yeah.
When was it designed? For what kind of shoes was it designed?
So actually, we can use for any kind of shoes. Alternatively, we can use, sir. It has a three.
थोड़ा ऐसे नहीं सोचो एक मिनट. Please think for a minute.
जो पुराने जमाने में राजा महाराजा के जो वो होते थे.
नहीं और थोड़ा सोचो. Just think about 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Your parents were wearing certain shoes. What was the characteristic of the shoes? How were they made? And what kind of help this tool will provide in mending those shoes? Think carefully. Or socho.
So for changing the soles of the shoes.
How were the soles attached to the shoe?
Nails, by nails.
Yeah.
Nails. So this was a stand for fitting the nails, correct?
Yes.
It was very appropriate design for fixing nails in these shoes where soles had to be completely refitted, or we had to put some patches of leather and put them or rubber. Rubber, it will not work for leather. Mostly the shoes were of leather. Now shoes need nails or something else.
We're using glues kind of things.
Glue.
Yeah.
Your shoes need glue or sometimes stitches, right? These are machine. Mongolia is poorer than us. China is richer than us. All right. So we cannot say, sir, country's level of development determines this. Afghanistan is poorer than us. Mongolia is poorer than us. China is richer than us. But they have developed these tools for stitching as well as for putting adhesive. And for adhesive, you have to put a clamp. If you hammer after putting adhesive, there'll be a vacuum created and the air will rush in, and those air bubbles will make the joint weaker, isn't it? ठीक बात है ना?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So the question now is, I'm going to leave this now and I'll stop this. I don't want to take it further. We will discuss other examples later. So what I want to do now is I will share with you several problems that we are facing in agriculture, in relating to water, relating to land, relating to crop, relating to disease, relating to pest, for cattle, for humans. And we will discuss how we can solve those problems. We will not discuss solution just now. We'll only see how do we notice this problem. So you remember when Dr. Rao was presenting the NPK sensor, I mentioned about micronutrient sensor, isn't it? You remember?
Yes, sir.
Why did I mention? Because we did a study and found that the soil mineral deficiency or soil mineral sufficiency affects through the food chain our health. So we have to remember that if the nutrient is deficient in the soil, for example, zinc was the first nutrient which became deficient after Green Revolution. Green Revolution means when high-yielding varieties of wheat and rice came to our country and intensive cultivation started. Production went up from 60 million ton in 1960, 67, 68, 69 to 250 million ton. 4 times the production increased from the same piece of land. So naturally, when so much yield took place, nutrients were mined from the soil. We were only giving NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash. Other nutrients, where were they coming from? They were coming from the native fertility. So if we don't supplement, there are 30 nutrients at least, which are required for the growth of the plant or the crop and for our own health. So they became deficient. So what do we need now? need is we should have a sensor which will sense the deficiency of micronutrient in the soil and identify where is it lacking. So if I divide a 1 acre land into 150 pieces, let us say, that's around 4,000 square foot is 1 biga, 1 acre, and 10,000 square meter, 10,000 square meter is 1 hectare. So 4,000 divided by, let us say, 40. So 10 square meter, I have a grid. So I need 40 observations in the field to find out what is lacking in each grid. I'll give a number 1 to 40. So grid number 35 has much more deficient boron and zinc. So I should supplement in grid number 40 these elements. Are you understanding what I'm saying? समझ में आ रही है बात?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please stop me when you don't follow what I'm saying, because I assume that you know about these things, but some of you may not have any idea of what is land, what is acre, what is crop growth. So do interrupt, do stop. Don't allow a speaker to proceed if you feel that there is something he or she is saying which requires clarification. So then request, can I ask a question? Then ask a question, please. So let us look at this way, that we now will see what are the kind of sensors or devices we need. Just an illustrative list. And when I'm making this list, this is to give some of you who are in computer science or electronics an idea about how then you will do search, find various kind of sensors, try to find out how the circuits can be designed. You will then order online if some of the sensors are available, and try to fabricate in your own home, at least on the motherboard or on a, just any rough circuit board that you will take up, and on that you can fix these sensors, and at least proof of concept you will develop and show that, look, this is where it is doing this. So one of the things that we need to know is, can we find out when the pest attack the crop, can we find out earlier than the major damage has been done? So when we get infection, what happens to our body?
Our immune system will start fighting towards.
So what is the first thing which we generally get when there is a fever? So temperature goes up, correct? So we have a thermometer. If we have a temperature sensor for crop, what will we use? We will not use thermometer. What will we use?
So can you repeat the question?
If we want to measure the temperature of the crop, we want to know whether crop is suffering from some infection, some disease or something, and is it trying to deal with it, supposing. And we assume that in some cases, at least, not in all cases, the temperature of the crop might rise. Plant may become slightly hotter. So let's say I go in the morning when the temperature is cold, and I want to see the difference between a healthy and the sick plant, and I want to measure the temperature. What kind of technology will I use?
Sir, if the temperature increase means the leaves may get dry, so we can see the changes.
It may not be that high a difference in the early stage. Later on, yes, leaves shrivel later on.
Infrared cameras or
infrared sensors.
Or we can use strips which changes its color according to temperature. That kind of thing.
Color infrared is a good solution. So when you come to the airport, many times you see that infrared sensor lying there. So when you pass by the sensor, they notice your temperature, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And
sir, better to use thermal cameras, sir. Better than infrared sensor.
Yeah, thermal imaging. Camera. Yes. Only thing is,
but
how
sir,
costly?
won't it be expensive?
Costly.
Yes, sir.
Cost you have to ask. The infrared, the thermal imaging is very costly, isn't it?
Costlier we can go for image processing, sir.
Because that's a good solution. So you can have an algorithm which can look at the minor difference in the image and process it, and then generate the data about temperature. Possible.
Sir, maybe we can find the dependence between temperature and other factors like moisture content in the soil.
Very good.
So we can combine image processing and soil data information. everything, and we can see
soil or crop data.
We can map the pattern that whenever it follows this pattern, the crop is likely to have this disease.
Right. So what I'm
Then we
saying
can
is, yes, good point. Good, very good point. So when we do mind mapping exercise, we will mention various factors that might affect the diagnosis or analysis of that problem. So we will do mind mapping. My colleague will discuss, I think, tomorrow. And we will elaborately go through some of the mind map that I had made myself for a nutcracker. I will locate it and share that with you. So that will give you an idea as to how many different directions, and we will make decision trees also. If it is image, then we will look at different kinds of image. Then we will ask the question, which part of the plant will show the maximum difference? Will it be stem? Will it be leaf? Will it be some root? Will it be the bud? Will it be the underside of the leaf or the above side of the leaf? All these questions will go into detail. Then we will understand that it is not a simple thing just by showing the camera to the plant and then we get it. We will have to notice difference in different parts. That is why for a child, we take the temperature in the armpit, isn't it? We don't put thermometer on the arm or on his body. Isn't it true?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For adults,
to avoid the surrounding.
Correct. For adult, we put it under the tongue, isn't it? So what I'm saying is the body temperature can be more easily measured by a thermometer because it is put in certain places. Same way, the temperature of a cattle, temperature of a plant can also be measured accordingly. So what I'm saying is whole range of problems from which crops suffer, we can list those problems. We will arrange a meeting with the farmers and then ask ourselves which tools should we use. Before we asking the tool, we will have to parameterize the problem. What am I measuring? So one of you mentioned when temperature increases, maybe the leaves will shrivel. Leaves may shrivel because of moisture stress also, not because of temperature alone. So if you find some plant, you don't give water for 2 or 3 days to your flower pot or your garden, and you will notice the leaf starts shriveling. Why do they start shriveling? Because the leaf plant does not want to lose moisture. So it reduces the surface area either by closing the stomatal cells in the surface of the leaf or by shriveling the leaf so that the less water inside the plant will evaporate. And when more water evaporates, sometimes the plant dies by too much of stress. So we have to find ways in which stress can be captured. That's what Dr. Rao did in the moisture sensor, where it sensed the moisture in the soil and then advised, okay, now you irrigate. And how much duration? They quantified the degree of stress and duration of the sprinkling of water. So it became a kind of IoT solution for moisture sensing and irrigation dispensing. So farmers can do their own work. They can set it up, and they can set it up for different crops. And it will require, because different crops need moisture at different frequencies. That means they can withstand stress for different duration. So this device has to be calibrated for different crops, and it will work. And that's how they developed it. So we have to ask ourselves this question. Now let me ask another question. You know how we measure sugar in our body? हम लोग शुगर मेजर करते हैं ना? बोलो.
Like they take blood samples in the slide.
Or we have a macrofluidic chip.
I was coming to their one. They will use some kind of chip and pin
then
it
you
in
put a drop of blood, and then the chip is put in a glucometer, and your reading comes up, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Why is sugar interesting? Because sugar affects the metabolism of the body, and if values go up, then it can cause some adverse effect on our body. So some organic farmers in US did some research, and they found that in the plants also, when you give too much of nitrogenous fertilizer, which farmers almost always do more than what is required in most of the green revolution regions, the sugar level increases. When the sugar level increases, the plant will attract more pests. If you give more nitrogen fertilizer, you will always have more pest. You give more water, there will be more pest, because it's easier to eat the plant, or more tasteful for that matter. So they developed what is called a refractometer. Refractometer is a small device, handheld device of $20. It would measure the sugar in the leaves in the growing plant and will indicate now the sugar is high. So what do? You give a stress. हम लोग क्या करते हैं? Fasting करते हैं. Plant को क्या करेंगे? एक irrigation को skip कर देंगे, थोड़ा सा delay कर देंगे. So what will happen? The plant under stress, sugar will come down. The pest will notice the field. Well, this is not interesting field for me. They will pass over. So without using pesticide, we might be able to control the pest. Read about it. You will read about refractometer. Write down these words. Write down about sugar content in the plant. Write down the word relationship of pest attack with sugar in the crop, sugar level in the crop. Now what happens? Scientists do research. We are not going to do research, original research. We are going to use the research. Identify the problem, depending upon our interest. I'm just listing these problems because different people may have interest in different sectors. I'm not saying you should do this. I'm only saying these are some of the problems which remain to be solved. A lot of organic farmers want non-chemical alternatives. They want agronomic management. They want environmental management, ecosystem management, so that the crop can be better without using too much of purchased inputs. So there's another interesting thing that we have to notice. Anytime you have seen that crop, tomato, when you buy tomato, within 2 or 3 days, they start getting spoiled if you keep it outside the refrigerator. Now, majority of the people in our country don't have a refrigerator. Many people don't even have access to power. If they have to increase the shelf life, one of the awards they gave in HBN Kriya, Honeybee Network, Creativity and Inclusive Innovation was a solution from Andhra Pradesh where a farmer has developed a shelf life, a solution for increasing shelf life of tomatoes. Some of you might have seen that many times when tomato crop production is high, people throw tomatoes on the road. Sometimes they don't even pluck from the field because cost of plucking is more than the price they get. Every year this happens in one or the other part of the country. Now, there are many ways of increasing shelf life. And one of the factors for that is ethylene gas. Ethylene is a compound which moves from the apex, from peduncle, where the fruit is attached to the stem, to the branch, and then it moves toward the tip of the tomato. So if you take 4 tomatoes, and you can do this experiment at home today or tomorrow, put 2 tomatoes straight and 2 upside down, and notice which one gets spoiled earlier. The one which are straight will get spoiled faster. The one which are inverted will spoil much later, because the movement of the ethylene slows down. So if we can measure ethylene, we can then understand how long my fruits will last, and I can develop some solution for increasing the shelf life. Dr. Rao mentioned about E-Nose, one of the Gyati award we gave, and he was the reviewer. And mind you, I sent him in the night because the reviewers were not in consensus. I think it was last time, and we will show you that solution. So we thought that let us send it to the top countries, top scientists who has worked on sniffing technologies, and we'll go by his judgment. So what this student had conceived the idea, he said that in godowns where the grains are stored, pest attack. When pests attack, the temperature increases. When temperature increases, if I can sense it, I can give an early warning that your crop is likely to damage. Please aerate it, do something so that the crop can be saved. And he developed an electronic nose at different locations they go down to measure this and give a feedback. So we gave an award to this person because Dr. Rao felt this is a great idea. We must support it. His strong recommendation was good enough for us to then overcome any hesitation that we might have had. So the temperature measurement in not only crop living plant, but also after the harvest will be important. Measurement of certain compounds, biomarker he mentioned about. We can think of some simple markers. If those of you who are who want to take up a biological linked problems. You can do that. You can find out how the stress gets converted in the field. There are salts in the soil, and the salt in the soil causes stress to the plant. So we can have measurement of salt, how saline the soil is. Of course, soil testing labs are there. They will do the test. But if we want a handheld device which will measure the soil health, what are the parameters of soil health? Organic matter, microorganisms, the porosity, the degree of water retention capacity, etc. If soil has much less microorganisms, then it is much less fertile. If it is having more organisms, more fertile, generally speaking. Then, of course, the second question is which kind of organism. But let us keep it simple. Which kind of soil will have more microorganisms? Where organic matter is high. So can I measure microbial health of my soil? Can I measure organic matter of the soil quickly? Of course, farmers estimate by looking at the color of the soil. If it is blackish, they will take it as a sign of little more carbon than if it is wheatish or yellowish. But we can develop more precise indicator. So soil stress, salt, alkalinity in the soil, water stress, all of these problems need to be parameterized, and we need to develop handheld solutions for our farmers to be able to deal with this problem. And it should be such that even a small farmer or even a worker can afford it, so that if the landowner has given land on lease to some workers, tenant farmers, even they should be able to afford it. A lot of big farmers don't till themselves anymore. Their children are studying in colleges, they're studying in cities. So they give land for cultivation to small farmers or landless workers, and who do the hard work, and then they get a share, 1/3 share of the crop in lieu of the labor. So we can look at salt, we can look at pathogens, we can look at organic matter, moisture, microbial content. All of these can be seen in the soil, and some indications can be given. The water. Water, what are the problems? What are the dimensions of water? Can somebody list down? Let me share the whiteboard and you can write down here. What are the different dimensions of water?
pH.
Sorry?
pH.
Let me write down pH. What else?
Salinity.
Salt. What else?
Conductivity.
Conductivity. What will conductivity tell?
Ions concentration.
Electrical conductivity.
The salt is conductivity is a measure of salt content also, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Ions.
So what else?
Turbidity.
Turbidity. When? No. Soil is turbid. Water, when you put soil in water, water can be tested. Turbidity is a characteristic of water, not soil. What else?
Sediments presents.
We are looking at water. So turbidity is the water. You're right. I'm sorry. She's right. Turbidity. So this is of the water. Okay. What else?
Microorganisms. Content. COD. BOD. Biological.
BOD, biological oxidation level. Okay.
The presence of mercury and other heavy metals.
Heavy metals. And where did they come from in our water? They come from our batteries, they come from electronics, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And lead and mercury and so on. What else?
Sodium absorption ratio, sir. Sodium absorption ratio. Sodium.
Salt आ गया ना उसमें, different salt आ गया.
No.
Sodium is a
ratio of sodium and calcium and magnesium.
Okay. That is an analysis.
No, ratio.
No, I'm saying
analysis.
The ratio you will calculate by measuring them, no? First of all. So you will measure different salts and then calculate their ratios, correct?
Right.
All right. What else? Analysis, we are not getting into what analysis we will do. What are the dimensions of measurement of water quality?
So can we say the odor or the color?
Color, yes. Color, yes. I mean, turbidity will capture the color, no? Or
so some water may look.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It may
Some
be
water
clean.
may look.
It may not be turbid, but it may be colored. You're right. You're right.
Viscosity, sir.
Viscosity. Okay. Well, if there is somebody has put some gluey material or some pollutant which can change the viscosity. Okay. Let me go to the next. How do I go to the next? This I say. Okay, let me clear it. Okay, I'll clear it now and move to the next page. Okay, next. So what are we doing? We are looking at quality. Most of the discussion so far on quality, but we can also measure the quantity, isn't it? How much is the flow rate of water in irrigation channel? So we have various kinds of valves which manage. We gave one of the award to one student who had developed a flow meter for water. So quantity, quality. What else? Of course, we can also look at storage, water conservation in the tank or in the subsoil or in the soil. What else can we measure when we look at water?
So motion, I mean, is it moving or not? Because if water is stagnant, then it can.
So we had already looked at pathogens, we had looked at pathogens. So we can look at the pathogens. That is the issue of quality.
Temperature?
Temperature, yes. Very important point, because in the well, in the winter, water is warm, and in the summer, water is cool. And farmers are aware which, in summer, what time you should give irrigation, and in winter, what time you should give irrigation, so that too much of warm water will not damage the crop. So they are very careful about the temperature. It's a very good point. Very good point. Very good point. Then, of course, there are devices for starting or closing the tube well, pump starter. You must be seeing many ads on television nowadays. Prem Singh had developed that 20 years ago, 22 years ago. By using mobile phone, you can start your pump set or switch off the pump set. 20 years ago, he developed that. What else do we need to know about water? Anything else important? How do you, of course, there are a lot of issues of water filter we discussed in the morning, isn't it? So one of the project we can take up, of course, is measuring what is first wrong with the water, and then finding a filter which is appropriate for the water. Yes, go ahead.
So maybe a percentage of dissolved oxygen can be considered like for.
Yeah, BOD was mentioned earlier. We wrote down.
Sorry.
Yeah, that was mentioned. You're right. So when we look at water filter, there are different kinds of materials. Coconut pith, coconut fiber, jamun wood. Jamun, जो आप लोगों ने खाया होगा, cesium. So jamun.
The amount of oxygen in water.
That is already there. BOD is about that. When oxygen goes down, BOD level goes up. So water filter and the water filter water can be filtered and water can be treated to make it drinkable. Sometimes water is clean, but it has high content of salinity, alkalinity. So how do we reduce that? So there are ways in which people try to. There are grasses in Kutch, in one area, which are lined when you dig a well in Vida. Vida is a unique technology that people in Kutch and some part of Banaskantha use to store fresh water from the rain in soil which is saline and groundwater which is saline. So they save fresh water in the wells and then use them as and when required. So there are different ways. There are grasses which filter the salts. There are wood which makes the salt precipitate. You have heard about moringa seed, isn't it? Have you heard about moringa seed?
Yes.
They are used to as a flocculant. They will help all the impurities settle on the basin. So you can drink water cleanly, all the water. Alum is also used for as a flocculant to deposit the impurities at the ground. So this is another way in which we can look at which kind of ways. So when you look for solutions, don't look for always solutions which are involving electronics, solutions which are, let me show you a very simple example. Did I tell you about an example of wood being used as a filter? Did I? No. So just look at this.
No, sir. No, sir.
No. Yeah, I did not in your class. So wood meat. There's a very interesting research done at MIT, and you will, when you see this, you will realize that we can learn from the nature around us and find the solution for a problem of water filter. So let's see. So this is the work of a PhD student guided by one Mr. Professor Kartika Ramchandran was the student, and Professor Rohit Karnik, Professor of Mechanical Engineering at MIT. And when I visited MIT some years ago, I had seen this experiment. So I would like to tell you what did they do. In plant, there are two parts, phloem and xylem. You know that? In botany class, in the 10th class, you must have
Yes,
studied.
sir.
Yes.
So one takes water from root to the branches.
Top.
And another takes from top to the bottom. Right?
Yes, sir.
So xylem, this is xylem, inside the wood, not the bark portion.
So
So your screen.
Yeah, the board is on. Your screen is not visible.
Sorry. Again, tell
Like
me.
it's still in the dimension part.
Oh, wait a minute. Right. I'm sorry. Yeah, good that you mentioned. Now you can see?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is a paper. MIT engineers make filters from tree branches. In this case, they used pine tree. Okay? And they developed a low-cost natural filtration option. Very good science. What is science in it? They have used the xylem of pine tree, abundantly grows in the mountain, put it in a tube, and made the water flow from the pine wood. A pine sapwood lined with straw-like conduit known as xylem, which draw water up through the tree's trunk. Xylem conduits are connected through the membrane, act as a natural sieve, filtering out the bubbles from the water and the sap. They looked at the filtering ability and they demonstrated that low-tech design effectively filters even bacteria. Now they have shown the technology, how it works in real-world situation. They have fabricated new xylem filters that can filter E. coli, rotavirus, bacteria, groundwater from the groundwater and surface. And they take technology to India. They publish in Nature Communication, one of the top journal of the world. So when you do simple solutions, don't think who will publish it. This has gone to one of the top journal of the world in the science. And a paper of mechanical engineering. So what they do, they have made an open website with guidelines for designing and fabricating xylem filters from various tree types. And any entrepreneur, any organization can use this. It's an open source solution. You understand? It's a DIY solution. They have given the entire technology on the website. Anybody can go to the website and look at the website. Water filter, xylem water filter. What is the working principle? What is the project? What is the manufacturing resources? And what can be filtered? Current stages of the technology. It's just a small video. Can you see that?
Yes.
yes.
So you just saw this very beautiful example which I had a privilege of seeing it in first hand when they were testing different materials, and they explained to me in the lab. At that time, they were using different, it was not as big as tube as this one. They were using thinner tubes. But then the flow rate, they were optimizing the flow rate. And now they decided that if the tube is a little bigger, about an inch in diameter or inch and quarter of diameter, then the flow rate is sufficient for making it effective, practical. They also found that if you can periodically clean it up and put it in the ethanol for a few minutes, then it can be reused also. So if you don't want to, because if millions of people use, then a lot of pine trees would be cut. So they were trying to see whether it can be reused. The point I try to drive home here is that a simple solution is possible, backed by a very high quality science. The technology is simple, the science is complex. Where does the solution come from? You look at nature, find out what plant is doing, what tree is doing. It is transporting water up and down. What do I need? I need a solution. I need a material which will filter the wood, filter the water, even the bacteria and virus from it in one direction. And that's what xylem does. And the soft wood, please remember that. The softer the wood, the cell size is bigger. The denser the wood, cell size is smaller. So if you take tamarind wood or teak wood, it takes long time to grow. The wood is very dense. You won't use that wood. It won't let water pass through easily. But if you use soft wood, pine wood is soft wood. It burns very fast, just like eucalyptus also. And their kind of wood have more porosity and would allow water to pass through more easily. So good science, good application, good solution. My point in showing this example was that when you think about problems and you identify the need, don't get down to solving them right away. Think deeply. Think diverse. Look at the connections of that problem with different factors. So when we look at the water filter, we look at the flow rate. What are the dimensions of a water filter? Let me write down. What are the dimensions of the water filter? Anybody?
How much water it can purify in one single kit?
So let's clean this up. So let us clear. Okay. So one is, what is that?
How much water it can purify in one single kit?
Flow rate, and when does it get clogged?
Which
Get clogged, isn't it? So how long it can work?
And its effectiveness, like about what size of particle it can remove or kill bacteria.
Okay, so can it, particle size, what kind of impurities?
Effective
filtration time, efficiency,
sir. Yes,
Sir, it's capacity of the.
Sir, filtration time.
Flow rate में caption होगा ना filtration time.
So capacity of the device.
Low maintenance.
Maintenance, yes, that's a very good point. That in Chaku's
Low cost.
सर कितना broad number of impurities वो मतलब purify कर रहा है?
वो अच्छा range. So we were looking at particle size. That means range of different kinds of particles. Okay. What else?
Sir, and efficiency, as in how many liters does it intake, how many liters it's filter out, and how much is wasted.
Okay, if at all wastage is there, efficiency. What else?
Water
pressure. Capacity.
Pressure of the water.
Capacity we have come already. We have looked at how much how much water will it filter and then get clogged. So is it capacity is 1,000 liter, 2,000 liter, 5,000 liter, 100 liter? What else?
Water
consumption.
Water.
Filtration units should be eco-friendly kind of thing.
Let me clear this. What did you say?
Filtration units should be eco-friendly. Like it should not damage more to the environment when thrown away.
Very good point. That means after you dispose of the filter, it should not damage the environment. Eco-friendly.
Accessibility of manufacturing materials.
Accessibility or ease of making.
So ease of installation.
Ease of installation. Very good. Yes.
Power consumption if it uses any electrical system.
If it uses any. What else? What else?
So ease of handling of equipment.
Ease of handling.
Sir, have you done durability?
Huh?
Durability?
Yeah, durability we have written, but we can write again. Ease of use. What else?
So can we say that the technology which is used in the filtration can be explained very simply to the people so they can trust whatever water is coming
User
out?
friendly.
No. It is a very interesting point. Easy to understand.
Yes.
Trust
That should be user friendly, sir.
Well, user friendly, it can be tough. I mean, it can be a complex technology and still user friendly.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so,
sir.
but it is, I think the point is very important, that can you explain the working of that solution to the people and they will understand it. So when you say this is better because it does this, can you demonstrate to them why it is better? So when you show the different component, people can, you demystify the science, you demystify the technology.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything
Sir,
else?
there are water filter that also, in purifying the water, remove some essential minerals from the water. So water purifier should also have a note of it.
So that we looked at, no, different particle size. So when we looked at particle size, it means all kinds of particle, biological, non-biological. Viruses and
Sir, because it's a organic material, so how will its efficiency change with time?
Yes, that's a good point. Change in efficiency with time. That's a good point. Does it remain constant? Does it go down? Does it improve? Sometimes it may improve because of.
Or how long it will take, so that we know after this period we can't use it anymore.
So that we wrote down in the first slide, we wrote clogging, how long, or capacity, how many liters will it filter, and then it will become out of use, or it will need cleaning up or treatment. So that we have already listed. Anything else? So this is the way we will write down. Then we'll make a decision tree of different choices. So for example, ease of use. Now, ease of use for men and ease of use for women and for children, correct? For aged people and young people.
Sir, I would like to mention one more point over here. So as in the earlier discussions, you mentioned that water in different areas have different problems with it.
Yes.
Like in some area, fluorine is more. Like in some area, iron is more. So can we customize the water filter according to the region, or we can talk to the companies to manufacture water filters differently for different locations?
So we are talking about at this moment DIY solutions. So our challenge is, what design parameters do we use? So for example, wood. Will Assam, Dhimaji having high iron water, will they use different kind of wood? Will the system still work there? Isn't it? So that's a good point, that we will have to parameterize, we'll have to customize, we'll have to put the limits of solution. Always write down the limits, under what condition it works well. And if conditions go beyond this level, if the salt level is higher than this, it may not work as efficiently. If at all that is true. I don't know. I'm not saying that it will not, but it could. So we should know the limits within which it will work well. So good point. Good point. So, okay, let us go back. Oh, you were not seeing my screen? Oh, yeah, you were missing. So let's go back. What have we done today? I have still not completed. I'll go through 2 or more categories, cattle and craft, and just to illustrate the kind of questions that we have. Again, I'm saying none of these questions you may pick up. Doesn't matter to me. You pick up something totally different. But I am telling you how my mind is working, how I'm listing down various challenges that are there before us. And if that helps you, then it is good, because then the choice of problems that you will decide, and we will decide collectively, will be more useful. You can have a major project, generally done by groups, but if somebody insists on doing it alone, we don't mind. And there'll be a minor project, which is like a few hours work or a one-day work, where you can do a simple analysis and find out how it works. Let's look at this way, that we had, my colleagues will show you the clay pot. आपके पास clay pot है सृष्टि में भाई? चेतन? Venu?
हाँ सर एक सेकंड
ले आइए जरा उसको. So just now you will see a clay pot, and I will tell you different dimensions of the problem in that clay pot. चेतन ने आपको शायद फर्नेस दिखाई थी सुबह, वो फर्नेस दोबारा दिखाएंगे, लेकिन उसकी बाद में बात करेंगे. पहले मैं आपको बताता हूँ कि एक क्ले पॉट है और उसमें क्या क्या डायमेंशंस हैं जिसको हमें मेजर करना है, और क्या हम उसको मेजर करने के कोई सॉल्यूशन बना सकते हैं. तो जैसे उसके अंदर एक टेक्सचर आता है, थिकनेस ऑफ द लेयरिंग. व्हेन आई हीट द क्ले पॉट and put a coating of lac, sometimes it is dark, somewhere it is light, somewhere it is transparent. Now this is when very high temperature. Yeah, आप शेयर कर लीजिए, मैं बंद कर दूं?
मैं हाथ में लेके बैठा हूं।
नहीं, हाँ, तो मैं बंद कर देता हूँ, आप शेयर, सॉरी, व्हाट एम आई डूइंग, आप शेयर कीजिए इसको,
हेलो,
आप शेयर कीजिए। हाँ, मैं अपना,
मेरे
We
हाथ में
can
आपको
see
ये
him,
दिख रहा है
sir.
ना?
We can see him.
you can see?
Yes, sir.
ये तो देखो, ये जो
हाँ,
बल्ब
ये
है थोड़ा डार्क है।
ऐसा, ठीक है, एक मिनट रखो अपने हाथ में। अब इसमें जो लेयर है, ये कहीं पर थोड़ा लाइट आने दो उस पर, थोड़ा कहीं डार्क है, कहीं थोड़ा लाइट है, अनइवन है, नहीं दिख रहा अभी। हाँ, कहीं कहीं पर साइड में देखेंगे आप, थोड़ा रोशनी पड़ने दो उसके ऊपर, तो टॉर्च लैंप, उसकी सेल फोन से लाइट डालो, सेल फोन से लाइट डालो। हाँ, अब देखिए, ये है ना, ये तो इसमें कहीं कहीं पर डार्कनेस है, कहीं पर लाइट है, क्योंकि हाथ से किया है ना इसको। तो इसमें क्या होता है, ग्राफीन ऑक्साइड बन जाता है जब लैब को जलाते हैं, तो विच इज लाइक ए मल्टी लेयर ऑफ कार्बन। कहीं कहीं पर ऐसा हमने अनुमान लगाया है, और इस पर काफी बहस हुई, हमने नेशनल मेट्रोलॉजिकल लैब में भी काम किया, टाटा स्टील के साथ काम किया, कि कहीं इसमें ग्राफीन तो नहीं बन रहा है। अगर लो कॉस्ट ग्राफीन बन जाए तो फिर बहुत आसान तरीका हो जाएगा वो कोटिंग करने का। तो मान लीजिए कि आपको कल को आयरन के गर्डर्स बनाने हैं, ब्रिज बनाना है स्टील का, एंड इफ यू पुट अ ग्राफीन कोटिंग देन इट विल नॉट इरोड वेरी फास्ट, तो उसकी लाइफ बढ़ जाएगी मटेरियल की, एंड दैट टू एट सच अ लो कॉस्ट। इफ यू कैन मेक ग्राफीन, will be a world leader, because normally graphene is a very useful material of the future, but it is very costly to make. तो अभी तक उसको प्रैक्टिकल ऑपरेशनल यूज में नहीं आ पाया है, तो बहुत महंगा है वो बनाना। लेकिन हमारा तरीका तो बहुत सस्ता है, और वो भी हमने ट्राइबल से सीखा है, छोटा उदयपुर के ट्राइबल से। तो वी नीड टू मेजर द थिकनेस ऑफ कोटिंग। हाउ डू वी मेजर? डू वी हैव अ सेंसर which will look at the transparency level or opacity level, and with the opacity level measure the degree of depth, so to say. So most transparent, that will be the least, that will be the lightest, and there is a chance that it will be graphene. Other is graphene oxide. So molds banane hain iske. How do we make molds of these pots? How do we put handles in them? Because many times in our kitchen, we may like to put handles on them. The furnace, वो जरा furnace दिखा दीजिए चेतन, इसकी जो आपने सुबह दिखाई थी वो दोबारा दिखा दीजिए। So furnace that a student developed in the last before summer school, दोनों दिखा देना, पुरानी वाली भी, नई वाली भी, जो कन्वेंशनल है वो भी, और जो इम्प्रूव्ड वन है वो भी, आपके ट्रांसपेरेंसी में है, वो आपके पीपीटी में है। So you will see that conventionally what they will do, they will put on the ground pots and then put the straw on that, burn it. That was the conventional. दिखा रहे हो चेतन?
हाँ सर, मैं शेयर कर रही हूँ।
हाँ, दिखा दीजिए। तो और जो इम्प्रूव वाला है, उसके अंदर तो उन्होंने एस्बेस्टस की शीट ले लिया, उसका कॉनिकल फॉर्म बना दिया, धुएं को ऊपर निकाला, आंखों में धुआं नहीं आ रहा है, बच्चे गोदी में होते हैं तो बच्चे की, द चाइल्ड हु इन्फेंट चाइल्ड इज इन योर लैप, even that child doesn't get affected, and when the heat is uniformly distributed, the damage breakage is less, fuel consumption also is less because temperature is maintained very well, and baking is good quality. So yeah, but we still have to improve it, but nevertheless you can see that, and they will show you in a minute. So these are the problems that we have. How do we reuse or repurpose the waste tiles, waste pots? Many pots get broken. Many, if you go to Morbi, where there is a cluster of ceramic tiles, ceramic tiles are made. The sanitary ware are made. The pot which you use in the toilet, they are made. So this is, नहीं इसको हटा दीजिए, हाँ नहीं चाहिए, नहीं ऊपर जाइए, जहाँ पर नहीं आप गलत दिखा रहे, जहाँ ऑर्डिनरी फर्नेस थी उनकी, और जहाँ पर इम्प्रूव वाली बाद में दिखाएंगे, पहले नहीं, ये नहीं है, दिस इज नॉट द वन। जो जहाँ पर उनका एक जो है ऑर्डिनरी है फर्नेस, एक स्लाइड में, और एक में जो इम्प्रूव्ड है, दोनों साथ। हाँ नहीं, ये नहीं है, ये तो ये वाली इम्प्रूव्ड है, राइट हैंड साइड वाली इम्प्रूव्ड है, और उनकी ओरिजिनल एग्जिस्टिंग वाली भी दिखा देते तो अच्छा रहता। ये तो डिजाइन है इम्प्रूव का। दिस इज द इम्प्रूव्ड वन। एक वीडियो है, वीडियो दिखा दो ना उसका। वीडियो है आपके पास? तो वीडियो है 2 मिनट, 1 मिनट का वीडियो दिखाओ। दैट विल मेक इट क्लियर। Just show the video. So you will see how the summer school participants, when they studied it, identified the need. We had goaded them. I mean, we had nudged them. It is true. So in that sense, we had given them leads. But then, which parameter to be optimized, how much, that they had to decide on the spot. And we arranged their meeting with experts, ceramic expert from Surennagar and other places, who gave them ideas about material, who gave them ideas about shape, and they worked together. And with the help of the mentor, they could solve the problem reasonably well. So you will see, I'm sure in a few minutes they will show that. But in the meanwhile, we have a lot of waste material. There is a Vidyarthi award we gave when somebody tried to reuse the waste tiles into new kinds of construction material with some resins or polymer that they used. So those of you, is anybody civil engineering? Anybody civil engineer in the class? Mostly are computer and mechanical, electric. Are there electric engineers, electrical or electronics?
Yes, sir. I am.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I am electrical engineer.
Okay, okay, very good. So if you went to look at conductivity and through the conductivity measure the thickness of the coating, that could be one way. There could be other ways also, but you will have to develop some algorithm by which you can do that. So those of you who are nearby, we can send you the pot or you can do that. Now look at this video that you're going to see, just I think 1 or 2 minutes video. Yeah, please play it. Full कर दो screen. क्या हो रहा है? एरर क्यों आ रही है? Anyway, they will show it to you later. I will just go to the next category where I want to do. Is that possible with Venu, or we will show it later? What is this possibility? इन सबको ना क्लाउड पे डाल दोगे तो आसान हो जाएगा बच्चों के लिए भी देखना. They can see it from our channel. उसको समर स्कूल के टेकपीडिया चैनल पे डाल दीजिए, अपलोड कर दीजिए. Then they can play it from there. So you can mail them. अगर अभी काम नहीं कर रहा है तो उसको मेल कर देंगे बाद. All right.
हाँ सर ठीक है.
हाँ बाद में दे देंगे, ठीक है. So let us go further, and I will go to the next category. I just want to close by take another 5, 7, 10 minutes. 10 minutes I'll close. Let us look at cattle, cows, sheep, goat. So what are the measurements? Some of the things are common: temperature sensor, heartbeat sensor, stress sensor. Cattle also get stressed. When the gas fills in their stomach, then the flatulence measurement, how much is the gas? Because sometimes they have to puncture their stomach to get the gas out. Otherwise, the animal may die. That also happens sometimes. Dung analysis. Can we were discussing earlier, microbial analysis of the soil. Can we do microbial analysis of cow dung? And identify by the analysis whether it is animal is diseased, are there worms inside, etc. Then there is something interesting. When animals are slaughtered, there is a layer of collagen. Collagen is similar to what you have in an eggshell. Have you seen eggshell? आप में से कुछ लोग अंडा खाया होगा ना?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
अंडे का जो छिलका होता है उसके नीचे एक थिन लेयर होती है, मेम्ब्रेन होती है. कभी आपने देखा उसको?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
तो वो जो मेम्ब्रेन है, it's made of collagen. And one student from BITS Pilani had used it to make, what they did, they put the eggshell in a solvent सो कार्बन कैल्शियम कार्बोनेट जो है जिसका शेल बना होता है वो डिजॉल्व हो गया, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड बन गई, और जो मेम्ब्रेन थी वो ऊपर फ्लोट हो गई, मेम्ब्रेन से उन्होंने वाटर फिल्टर बनाया. Very imaginative use. Look at that. The water filter made up of collagen layer inside the eggshell. So when you make what you call half boiled or whatever, when you take just a little tip of the shell, the whole shell is intact except little part of the top. I don't know what you call that. I'm a vegetarian, but you put the entire content of the egg in the cooking pan. What do you call that? When the shell is intact, almost intact, except a small part, half boiled, full boiled, whatever it is called. So that shell gives you a reasonably large size membrane, and that membrane was used as a water filter. So how can we use collagen, which is also there in the animal's skin? Below the skin there is a collagen layer. So from slaughterhouses that layer can be obtained, and for certain functions it's a very good thing for wound healing, very good thing for injuries and all that. So one can then find out. So there are different things that we need to find out. When we do nutrient analysis for soil, we can also do nutrient analysis for the fodder and feed that we give to the cattle. So depending upon what fodder we give, feed cannot be constant, it can be different. So can we calculate very simply what is the nutrient analysis, and then I can combine them in the ratio that I want. There is no such tool available. But soil nutrient analysis can easily be possibly adapted to the feed nutrient analysis for the cattle. So there are a lot of other problems that livestock keepers face for diagnosis. There are very few, or if any. One of the summer school participants, some girls from SNDT Women Polytechnic, Bombay, this time we couldn't get many students from there. They had made a prototype of temperature sensor and ECG measurement device for cattle. So, but we still don't have a product. So if some of you want to work on that, that will be very nice. How to make temperature sensor and stress sensor for the cattle. And if it can be IoT, even better. Then every cattle will have a small band on their, although the temperature is measured for certain part of the body, but one can think of a patch can be designed. Maybe a patch can be put on the part of the body where temperature is measured more accurately. And then that patch can be connected to our device, and the information can come on cloud for each animal. So think of various kind of solutions that we have talked about. None of them may be relevant. None of them may be interesting to you. That's okay. But what is important is that there are small problems which apply to more than one domain sometimes, and which can solve issues that affect large number of people. It could be a cobbler. It could be people living in polluted water bodies, their life. It could be a craftsman, a wooden craftsman who needs good mills to shape wood. It could be a blacksmith who needs better tools. It could be a construction worker. One of the students had worked on how to transport bricks. My colleagues will show you those examples. There are many case studies we have. We will discuss them tomorrow or day after, where you will see how they developed a load-carrying device for bricks. Different designs were made. All these case studies are available also on this site ss.sristi.org. SS साइट तो काम कर रही है ना अभी बच्चों? SS कल तो कर रही थी, देख लो उसको. So if you go to this site, you will find many projects that students have done in the past. I'm not saying that you need to do them again. I'm not saying, but if some of you want to improve upon them, you're welcome. You're welcome. There's no problem in that. So entirely choice is yours. My suggestion is from now onward, start thinking about it. Take some days, few days to think about problem. Don't have to rush into it. You can take 2-3 days. Start thinking. Start making a list of what issues come to you. You can think of solutions for your parents. You can think of solutions which can be very useful for your own family, and that will be perfectly fine. You don't have to necessarily go out and very far. We also have examples of mitti cool, the water filter cum water system which contains keep the water cool. So there are many examples of that kind which are available to us, which you can see, and I will strongly encourage you to look at these and see how we can solve these problems. This will be very useful if you can just quickly show you one more small thing. So this is an international competition that we organize, Honeybee Network Creativity and Inclusive Innovation. I'll show you some awards. Any one of you can apply there. So this was one solution from Philippines. There are people who can't afford internet, who don't have a smartphone. Or they have a smartphone, but they can't afford data because that data is very costly. So what do? So there are some kiosks that have been set up in the low income areas. You pay 1 peso, like a 10 peso or 1 coin, small coin, and you get for 5 minutes internet. In 5 minutes, you can download all your messages, you can upload all your messages. You can put all these messages offline. Do we have such a solution in our country? That's a 1 rupee internet?
Yes, sir. Cyber cafe, like in old times, I would have to give just 10 rupees for half an hour and can use their internet.
Yeah, 10 rupees for half an hour. You can use internet or you can use Wi-Fi on your phone. And
yes,
then,
sir.
Yeah. So this was something similar. Here, what they did, they trained women. Women safety was an issue, and am I sharing? Are you seeing that? Yeah. So there in Ecuador, Andrea and a colleague along with him who was the dog trainer, they trained street dogs. So that if a woman is attacked, the dogs will make the life of that person difficult. It's a very interesting solution. Then there was a mobile app developed, and some of you will make mobile apps for identifying mosquitoes and identifying which one is dengue mosquito or malarial mosquito, vector identification. Very interesting. You can also think of such solutions and develop solutions for which can apply around the world, maybe, because mosquitoes are not different in different countries. We gave an award to this. This girl, Sumita Basu, she's being incubated at Young, and she develops fabrics for physically challenged people who can't open the chain, women particularly, who can't tie the thread, for their garments. So she makes design by which people, men and women who have difficulty in coordinating their hand, she herself is physically challenged, she has a neurological problem, they can solve this problem. So she has designed different kinds of clothes, easier to manage by people whose hand coordination is not good. This is a very interesting solution. A fruit which is mature, you don't want insect eat it. So it's a wrapper on the fruit. On the tree, you can wrap each fruit by this wrapper. Very interesting solution from Malaysia. Low cost. Smartphone with an inbuilt body temperature sensor, Uganda. Now, in our country, we don't have a temperature sensor. Do we have a temperature sensor in our phone? Have we? Do we have? Anybody?
No, sir.
Yes, not sensing
But
our
isn't it
temperature
possible?
or phone's temperature.
But no, not phone temperature, my body temperature.
No, sir, not that.
But Uganda, we thought Uganda is a less developed country. India is a very advanced country in IT. But we couldn't develop one thermal sensor. Isn't it unfortunate? Some of you can do that.
Sir, if we do also, the phone's parameters will affect the sensor, sir.
अरे भाई देखो ऐसा मत बोलो. This team Simi Mobile Uganda has developed it already. Okay? Now they're manufacturing it. It can read the temperature on the surface. It can be attached to the body and it measures the temperature. Very simple.
Sir, we can try because as I know, our phone camera, like normal camera, can see infrared light, but we can try, sir.
You know, we have a SpO2 measurement now by phone camera and phone flashlight. Is an open access. I shared it recently on my Twitter. Vitals. So you can measure your SpO2 level and your heartbeat by putting your finger on the camera and the flashlight.
Yes, sir.
And you get it. So think of it. Think of it. I mean, I'm just mentioning that we need such solutions, and if you can develop, why not? Then people who can't afford oximeter, and if anybody has a smartphone, they can use it. Everything. This was a shelter for refugees and very low-cost shelter. This is the technology I was mentioning you from Visakhapatnam for increasing the tomato shelf life. Or shigakai ka jo hota hai, one of the things, that plant which we use for our hairs, ladies use that. He is using that and hibiscus leaves for increasing the shelf life of tomatoes. Very interesting solution. He was given an award because such a serious problem. This was a machine developed by Dharamveer, a famous awarded innovator for getting the milk out of corn. This was a device for replacing the jacquard in handloom in Telangana. And then this was very interesting, a containment bed stretcher for the COVID-affected patients. This, I think Chetan mentioned to you about teaching through conference call. Children who do not have a smartphone, and there are 60% of the parents whose families cannot afford smartphone, how will they get online education? So Bala Jadhav made a possibility of taking 10 children on a conference call and 4 calls, 40 children, and he could teach online without smartphone coming in the way. Very simple solution. This was very interesting, a 3D printed soap, which is a small trinket inside. So children will now say, please wash your hand, please wash your hand. We want a toy inside. So it was a behavioral innovation with a small design input. Very, very creative. This was a teacher from Gujarat who used cable classroom for teaching. So wherever cable TV is there, they started using that for teaching. These were bioplastic in Barbados, made of cassava. Tapioca, we call it in the southern part of our country. This person made in Bangalore, coconut leaves, drinking straws. He is doing very well. He has got orders for millions of these straws from around the world, incubated by Gyan, small funding we have given. Very interesting solution. Electrical plug, can the plug be put on the, can the switch be put on the plug itself? Interesting idea. We normally have 2 different things. So we can switch off and switch on the plug itself. Otherwise, many times we have to take out the plug if there is no switch. And if there's a switch, then you need more space. This is handy. Less space. Solar handloom, Machel. And we can stop here. There was a sensor for dementia, which a student had developed. Sprocket for the farmers has been developed to carry heavy load in hilly areas, increase the load. So let me stop here and close. Anybody has any question? Otherwise, we'll close it today in another 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes. Anybody has any question about what we discussed today? You're welcome. Borewell rescue devices have been developed by many, many people already. Please do a review. Before you think of any idea, do a review of available solutions. There are at least 2 dozen or maybe more than that borewell rescue devices. Review them. So no, then only, because your life is precious, each one of you is unique. I don't want a precious life to be spent on a project which is trivial. Please understand that. So put little stress on your mind, on your heart. Think of problems which are unique or untouched or less touched and solve them. Anybody, any other question? Anybody else having any other question, please, before we close the day, please.
Sir, I have a thought that I want to ask.
Go ahead.
सर जैसे पहले के टाइम में अपन मतलब गैस वगैरह नहीं था, चूल्हा वगैरह नहीं था, तो जो कुकिंग होता था वो नीचे यूज करते थे, चूल्हे में कुक करते थे। तो अभी जब गैस आ गया है तो सब खड़ा होके ही काम करते हैं। तो पहले जब चूल्हा नीचे होता था तो उनको बार बार झुकना पड़ता था, उठना पड़ता था। और जैसे रूरल एरियाज में या फिर मिडिल क्लास लोग जो बोल सकते हैं, वो लोग ज्यादातर एक्सरसाइज वगैरह नहीं करते हैं। तो उनके लिए फिटनेस का सोर्स मतलब ये बोल सकते हैं लैक ऑफ एजुकेशन बोल सकते हैं या फिर लैक ऑफ अवेयरनेस बोल सकते हैं। बट जैसे अपन ये सॉल्यूशंस निकालते हैं कि चूल्हा यूज नहीं करना चाहिए, या फिर जैसे वो ट्रांसप्लांटेशन का आप बोले थे कि वो लोग बहुत ज्यादा टाइम बेंड होके रहते हैं, तो मतलब डोंट यू थिंक कि वो मतलब उनके लिए एक हेल्दी रहने का भी तरीका है, क्योंकि वो लोग एक्सरसाइज नहीं करते हैं तो उनको बार बार बेंड होने में।
देखिए ऐसा है कि we cannot justify drudgery particularly for women. औरतों को बोलते हैं चक्की चलाओ पे ठीक रहेगा, आदमी क्यों नहीं चलाता चक्की? है भाई, आदमी को भी चक्की चलानी चाहिए ना। सारी हेल्थ फिटनेस आपको वुमेन को दे, सारी you want to give entire fitness schedule for women. Men should not be fit.
Yes sir.
So we don't think like that. We always think of such kind of solutions for women because we think that everything was done, the inertia is justified in the name of fitness. That is not fair.
सर मेरा पॉइंट जो है कि
नहीं, आपका पॉइंट ठीक है, I understand, but what I'm trying to say is
yes sir,
the direction of thought should be modified slightly. Don't justify an inefficient solution because it gives exercise. There are better ways of doing exercise.
Yes sir.
Let the work not consume my energy. Let energy be used elsewhere. I can relax. I can work more with less energy if it is a
सर
system.
व्हाट आई एम थिंकिंग इज अपन मतलब ज्यादा एफिशिएंट यूज कर मतलब गैस ही यूज करें, बट अपन जैसे अभी खड़े होकर यूज करते हैं या फिर डाइनिंग टेबल्स यूज करते हैं खाने के लिए, अपन उसको लो हाइट कर सकते हैं ताकि अपन बैठ के खाना खाएं।
नहीं वो ठीक बात है, that is correct, that I agree with that we can think of changes by which
अपना लाइफस्टाइल थोड़ा चेंज कर सकते हैं।
Yes, so that at least the women who have to stand long time or men who have to stand long time can take some rest. So there are high stool, but there have to be stable stool, so they don't tilt, and they are convenient to sit on. That can be thought of. It's a good point. Yes.
Sir, can I share my screen for a while?
Okay.
Yeah, Shirish, meanwhile you can go ahead.
Sir, I was thinking about an idea regarding the online medical examination. Online medical checkups. Means अभी जैसे सर कोविड का सिचुएशंस है, तो इसमें डॉक्टर्स लोग हम लोग को हाथ से छू के नहीं चेक कर पा रहे हैं। पर लेकिन डॉक्टर्स लोग का टच बहुत ज़्यादा एसेंशियल होता है ताकि हमारे डिसीजेज आइडेंटिफाई कर पाए।
ठीक बात है।
स्टोमक से रिलेटेड वगैरह डिसीज वगैरह।
तो
सर अगर हम एक सेंसर रिसीवर और एक एमीटर बना सकें जो एक डॉक्टर के हाथ में और एक पेशेंट के पेट में हो, तो डिपेंडिंग अपॉन डॉक्टर का जो टच देगा वो एमीटर पे वो stomach.
Yes, there is a concept of one of the entry that Prem Singh had also given to us, very creative person from Ambala, Yamuna Nagar. Stethoscope.
Yes, something like that.
IoT enabled stethoscope. That's what you're talking about. So there has been some work done on that, but more work can be done. You can review literature on that. You can review some of the models that exist about how stethoscope can be kept by the patient, and doctor will hear the sound, the vibrations, and then be able to do diagnosis. All right.
So not only stethoscope only.
No, I'm just saying this is an example. You can take other devices which can give him other feelings. So if he wants to know the sound of the stomach, or if he wants to know the depth and softness, so there can be devices which, when pressed on the stomach, will give him the pressure. How much is the body? How much is the pressure in all of this? Yes, one can think of this. This is a good idea, good direction to go in. because we don't have too many such attachments to our life which can help doctor diagnose from a distance. But we will need more such devices.
Sir, I need just 5 minutes to share my screen and explain something.
Just don't take 5, take 1 minute and just tell us what it is.
Sir, actually, I have worked upon keep writing. It is for school students are forgetting about writing more. And sir, if it would be better if I share my screen, it would be explained in 1 minute.
राजकुश को बना दो भाई, अलाउ कर दो, शेयर स्क्रीन सबको अलाउ कर दो.
सर ऑलरेडी है.
हाँ, कर दीजिए, आप शेयर कर दीजिए.
Sir, it is still disabled.
नहीं डिसेबल्ड है तो एनेबल कर दो राजकुश को, मैं करता हूँ.
हाँ सर, मैं कर देती हूँ.
नहीं, मैं नहीं कर सकता उसको, आपको करना पड़ेगा. नहीं, आप कर सकते हैं. उसको पॉज बना दो फिर, अगर ऐसा है तो. अभी हो गया?
Yes, sir, yes.
हाँ, करो.
Sir, is it sharing?
या.
सर, मैंने एक काम किया है सर. जैसे पूरे इंडिया में 27 लाख पेन हर दिन प्रोड्यूस किए जा रहे हैं, पर उनको रिसाइकिल करने का एक पूरा प्रॉपर चैनल नहीं है. वो डस्टबिन में एंड अप होते हैं मैक्सिमम पेन्स जो है.
ठीक है.
तो और स्कूल्स में भी आजकल स्टूडेंट्स गैजेट्स ज्यादा यूज कर रहे हैं.
सो प्रॉब्लम, आगे जाओ, उसको जाओ. दैट पॉइंट इज मेड, यू हैव मेड द पॉइंट. उसको एलैबोरेट मत करो, पॉइंट इज क्लियर.
यस सर. सो सर, मैंने एक इसका प्रोटोटाइप भी बना लिया है सर, जहाँ पे हम पेन्स को इनपुट में डाल रहे हैं और हमें चॉकलेट जो है आउटपुट में मिल रहे हैं. ये वेंडिंग मशीन सर.
अच्छा, मतलब व्हाट यू आर सेइंग इज ए वेस्ट कलेक्टिंग system whereby you incentivize the people by getting them in return upon the quantity of waste that they deposit. You will get some incentive. Is that right?
सर, यहाँ पे क्रक्स ये है कि हम यहाँ पे ये वेस्ट यूज नहीं कर रहे हैं, हम सिर्फ पेन्स यूज कर रहे हैं. पेन्स यूज इसलिए कर रहे हैं क्योंकि सर इसका एक बिजनेस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू भी है कि स्कूल्स अलाउ करेंगे इस चीज को आने के लिए, और सर पेन्स का क्वांटिटी बहुत ही ज्यादा है जो कि पर डे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग.
ठीक.
सर इसका ये है सर, यहाँ पे जैसे हमने इनपुट पे डाला तो हमें यहाँ पे चॉकलेट आउटपुट में मिल रहा है सर.
बढ़िया, वेरी नाइस आइडिया, वेरी नाइस आइडिया. तो इसको आपने कहीं स्कूल में बताया किसी को?
सर अभी जस्ट सर 2 महीने में ही मैंने ये मॉडल प्रिपेयर करा है, तो अभी हम लोग बात करने की कोशिश करेंगे. और सर सेकंड थिंग इसमें ये है कि हम पेन की कंपनीज का एडवर्टीजमेंट भी इसमें चिपका सकते हैं, जिससे
सही. वो तो फिर हाँ, दैट दे कैन पे फॉर दिस काइंड ऑफ कॉस्ट. इट्स अ वेरी गुड आइडिया. बहुत अच्छा आइडिया है वेस्ट को कलेक्ट करने का और उसके बाद में उनको रिसाइकलिंग के लिए भेजने का जहाँ पर होता है. इट्स अ गुड थॉट, वेरी गुड थॉट. आई एम श्योर. भाई बच्चों, तो ताली वाली बजा दो उसके लिए. बच्चों, क्लैप फॉर हिम. ऐसे एक दूसरे को एनकरेज करो, जब भी कोई अच्छा आइडिया है. मुझे तो अच्छा लगा. आप लोगों को अच्छा लगा किसी को?
यस सर.
अच्छा लगा?
यस सर.
बोलो थोड़ा सा.
सर बहुत अच्छा लगा.
हाँ भाई, देखो उसका you should motivate each other when you find a good idea, and particularly operational. It is not an idea. He has made a prototype. ठीक है ना? So we should appreciate that.
सर एक और चीज मैं ऐड करना चाह रहा हूँ.
बोलो बच्चों.
सर जैसे कि मैं कभी भी पेन फेंक नहीं पाता था सर डस्टबिन में. मतलब हम लोग सरस्वती माता मानते हैं सर पेन को, कॉपी को. तो डस्टबिन में डालने में उसमें और भी कचड़े रहते हैं, तो कभी भी अच्छा नहीं लगता था. तो इस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से सर ये आइडिया बहुत अच्छा है, क्योंकि
बिल्कुल ठीक है. वो हम इसको विद्या बोलते हैं ना, विद्या है ये.
हाँ, तो सर हम डाल ही नहीं पाते, तो हम कलेक्ट हो जाता है घर में बहुत सारा पेन, और उसको ना फेंक पा रहे हैं ना रख पा रहे हैं. तो सर ये चीज है. और फाइनेंशियली भी अच्छा है, क्योंकि हम इसमें पेन की कंपनीज का ऐड लगा देंगे, तो उनके लिए भी डायरेक्ट एडवर्टीजमेंट टू द स्टूडेंट्स इन द स्कूल ओनली. तो सर दोनों मॉडल से सही.
नहीं, अच्छा है. इसको आगे लेके जाओ. और समीर है क्या हमारा बैठा हुआ है यहाँ पर बायोनेस का?
नहीं सर, नहीं है.
समीर नहीं है?
नहीं है
भाई. उसको बोलो ना, उसको अटेंड करना चाहिए यार. अभी फोन करो जरा, ब्रिंग हिम ऑनलाइन. आई विल लाइक हिम टू इंक्यूबेट दिस पर्सन.
सर, मे आई सजेस्ट वन थिंग?
हाँ बोलो. समीर को फोन करिए आप. हाँ बोलिए.
Sir, rather than giving chocolate, we can do something like if students submit pens, they will get 1 or 2 marks in their exam. Like for a student, marks is like something. That's why it might be a better reward rather than a chocolate.
No,
and a class teacher can take.
हाँ, there can be variations, different kinds of variations. कुछ बच्चों को चॉकलेट अच्छी लगती है, कुछ को मार्क्स अच्छे लगते हैं, कुछ को कुछ और अच्छा लगेगा. ठीक है. One can try different models in different places. थोड़ा सा उसके लिए अलग अलग मॉडल बन सकते हैं। मार्क्स में तो कुछ आपको डिवाइस बनाने की जरूरत ही नहीं है ना, बस आप अपना डालो, एक क्रॉस लगा दो, अपना नाम साइन कर दो रजिस्टर में, बस हो गया, टीचर को पता लग गया। तो मतलब one can have a very simple way. Why complicate? But if you want a gratification by something which is like this, it has its own charm. छोटे बच्चों के लिए थोड़ा शायद joyful हो जाएगा, मजा आ जाएंगे उनको। वो एक दूसरे के पेन इकट्ठे करके लाएंगे, डाल देंगे, वो कहेगा मेरा पेन तूने क्यों डाला, लड़ाई होगी थोड़ी।
हमने इसे 2 चॉकलेट्स डालने के पीछे भी हमारा ये रीजन है कि जब एक लेता है तो एक ही चॉकलेट मिलेगा तो खुद खा जाएगा, 2 मिलेंगे तो अपने भी खाएगा, अपने वाले को शेयर भी करेगा, तो शेयरिंग हैबिट्स भी इंप्रूव हो रहे हैं।
That's a very good thought, Rajkish. I like this idea that you also want to encourage sharing habit. In fact, in summer school, we want you to share and care more so that you can dare. Sharing and caring increases our spirit, empowers our spirit to dare. Then we can dare. If you share and care, then you can also dare to do extraordinary things in life. But sharing and caring are fundamental to life. उसके बिना कोई आगे नहीं बढ़ा आज तक जीवन में, जो शेयरिंग नहीं करता है, केयर नहीं करता है। बेनू बात हुई?
जी सर।
बेनू, is he there? Has he come?
सर आ रहे हैं, बात हो गई मेरी।
हाँ।
एंड सर इसमें बहुत सारी चीजें हमने स्पेसिफाई भी किया कि जैसे कोई पत्थर डाल देगा तो वो अपने आप बाहर ही आ जाएगा। मतलब हमने मॉडल, मैकेनिकल मॉडल इस तरीके से बनाया हुआ है कि कोई पत्थर या फिर छोटे मोटे ऑब्जेक्ट्स बिल्कुल नहीं डाल पाएगा।
नहीं ठीक है, वो तो one can have some safety net so that people don't misuse this.
Yes, sir.
Has Samir joined?
नहीं सर, अभी तक नहीं हुआ है।
फोन पे ले लीजिए ना उसको, आप फोन पे ले लीजिए। Just keep the phone so that he can hear what I'm going to say. Because this is a very good thought, and we would like you to, in our incubator, we would like to incubate you.
वो फोन पे है, आप बोल दीजिए।
Hello, Samir. You should be attending these sessions here. This is a very interesting idea that Rajkush has given, where he has developed a dispenser of toffee or chocolate. Every time you put a used pen inside, a plastic pen, so that the environmental care can be taken and it will not degrade the environment. So that is what he has done. He has made a working model where, just show it again, Rajkush.
Yes.
So anyway, he will not be able to see, he's not connected. So you can see it later on. He has designed a solution where you put a pen inside and the chocolate comes out. And that will incentivize people to use pen, to not throw used pen in the waste basket, but use this waste pen in that collection. And then this can be sent to the recycling agency. So I think we should encourage Rajkush. Please send him a mail for incubating this idea. And then we can talk to some schools if they would like to install such a thing. And as he was mentioning, that ads of the pen making companies will possibly make it attractive for them to sponsor it, so that schools may not have to invest much. And if they can collect the waste plastic and get it recycled under their CSR project or something else, then it can become a viable investment. So please think about it. All right. So thank you, friends.
There should be allowed for rubber or deposited, sir, because
no, we can think of. So let us not discuss it now. We will discuss many more alternatives. Today, we will. I would like to wrap it up here by saying that it's a good example of how he converted his concern for environment into a solution, working solution, to incentivize care for environment. From concern to care, his journey has been very interesting. I appreciate that. It is a good thing. And he also brought a cultural dimension that because it is Vidya, it is education, and you don't throw a pen or a notebook in a dustbin, because there are all of the things like there. It's a very good thought. It's a very good thought. It builds upon our cultural consciousness of our society that we should not throw such things in dustbin. बहुत ही अच्छी बात है, बहुत ही अच्छी बात है. And then he added one more dimension, that you get 2 chocolates, so that one you keep for yourself and one you share with others. So it also promotes sharing culture. There are so many attributes of the product that he has mentioned. He had looked at cultural dimension, social dimension, ecological dimension, and of course, fun dimension, joyful dimension, and market dimension by putting the ad. So 5-6 dimensions he has tried to incorporate in his solution. How well they work, whether children will like it or not, all these are matter of test, user testing. But at least conceptually, it seems very interesting. So I'm happy that all of you like this idea, and we will certainly provide him incubation support right away, even when he's.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a very good idea. Very good idea. So let us close the session today. If there are no other questions, you can always mail me or mail summerschool@sristi.org. Is that the email we are using? You know?
Yes, sir. summerschool@sristi.org.
So yeah, type कर देना उसको. You can type there and please उसके जो mails आएंगे मुझे भी forward कर देना उसमें.
ठीक है सर. ओके.
हाँ, तो फिर अगर कोई ऐसा मेल है जिसका मुझे जवाब देना है तो मैं फौरन जवाब देता हूँ. So all of you can use summerschool, one word, @SRISTI.org for mailing. If you send a mail to that address, it will also come to me and I'll reply if it requires reply from me, or else my colleagues will reply. And for the incubation, the address has been given, but we will connect our incubation manager with Raj Khush. We'll make this connection today so that you can both get connected and start the process. So by the time you go back and the summer school ends, I hope we will be able to add some value. Our colleagues will be able to add some value to your idea and at least get you the feedback from schools and from the pen industry. Samir, जरा कोशिश कीजिएगा दोनों से feedback.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good luck. All right, thank you. Bye-bye. I will take leave, but my colleagues can continue if they want to say